This is Robin Wilson, host of The Education Connection, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Each show on the network is independently owned, and the views expressed may not represent those of other podcasts. For the best education podcast, visit edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 261 of the House of EdTech podcast, it's Canva Create 2025, and I am joined by the awesome Leena Marie Saleh, the EdTech Guru. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nesi. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the podcast by visiting my website, chrisnesi.com. Using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech. What's going on? Welcome back to the House of EdTech. Today you are in for something extra special. This is episode 261, and it's a crossover event with my good friend and EdTech powerhouse, Leena Marie Saleh. You might know her as the EdTech Guru. We just wrapped up Canva Create 2025, and in this episode, we are breaking down the game-changing updates to Canva that are coming to educators everywhere. From Canva Sheets and AI-powered design tools to interactive coding and a brand new visual suite, Leena and I unpack it all. We're going to give you practical tips and some classroom ideas you can use as soon as these features are available. If you're listening and they're already available, then listen to this and start creating. Because whether you're designing lesson materials, helping students build portfolios, or looking to save time and stay creative, this is the episode you don't want to miss. So let's get into all of the Canva magic that's about to change your life and your students' lives and make it a whole lot easier. Let's get to my conversation with Leena Marie Saleh, the EdTech Guru. All right, welcome to a special House of EdTech Guru crossover piece of content. I want to welcome Leena Marie to my audio piece of this. What's up, Leena Marie?
Hey, how are you?
It's been too long. I'm doing great.
It's been way too long. And for my audience, thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Chris Nesi. If you don't know him, he's from the House of EdTech. So thank you for joining us on the video side of things. And we're so excited because we have something extra special for you. Chris, what do we have for them today?
We have Canva.
Yes, I've been waiting for something like that. Can you carry that around everywhere I go?
Sure.
All right. One more time, just because I need it. Yes. Thank you. I've been needing some energy today, so that's the type of energy I need.
Leena Marie, so Canva Create is just about in the books, and there have been so many announcements of things that are going to be put in the hands of teachers and educators worldwide from the magic that is Canva. You know, they are slowly conquering education, the professional world, right? It's the Canva empire. I want to thank you for sharing and giving us some insight as to what is going on with Canva that's brand new and coming to the hands of teachers and students through the Canva platform.
Yes. And I'm so excited for those of my audience who I never really talk too much about Canva, but I'm excited for you to join us on the heels of Canva Create to be able to share all of these new tools that I think for the first time, not that they haven't been life-changing before, but I think for the first time, these are really tools that are really going to benefit educators in the long run. And as you know, I'm a huge advocate of saving time and creating more value for educators.
I only associate with people who want to save time. So let's roll. Let's do it.
Amazing. All right. So I'm not sure how to do this, but we haven't done anything like this before. So I'll just kick it off from the beginning. We'll start with one of the biggest launches that I think is going to really change educators. And Canva is, since you've tuned in already to the keynote today, is launching Canva Sheets. Yes. It's the kind of energy I said I need in my life today.
Leena Marie, this is really exciting because keynotes in the book, what this is going to do, and you're going to talk about it, you're going to be able to show it for people watching the video. And, for you who's listening on the audio side, listen to this conversation and then go watch it. I will have a link in the show notes. It'll be updated once this makes its way to YouTube. But Canva Sheets. So we've got Canva Docs, we've got Canva proper, and now we're adding cells and formulas and adding AI and improving things. So let's talk about Canva Sheets and what it's going to do for educators.
Okay, great. Let's do it. So Canva Sheets is going to be really your all-in-one, as with everything, your all-in-one creation tool, but it's going to be, I think, leveled up a little bit more, because I think oftentimes when we go to Sheets, or, I'm a big Google Docs user. I think I always will be, in my educator heart, lean on the Google suite a lot. I think Canva Sheets are really going to set it apart because it is influenced with one of our favorite things, which is magic.
Yes. Lots of magic in this. You were, again, kind enough to show me some of the things that are possible here with Canva Sheets. And it's really the infusion of AI and the Canva tools that are taking boring spreadsheets to the next level. Now, you and I both know people who, if spreadsheets were a person, they would, cheat on their spouse or want to date a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are so powerful. And let's just talk first about the Canva tools that are being added to spreadsheets. So what are some of the things that I can now do in a Canva sheet that I can't do in Excel or Google Sheets?
Yeah, I think in a Canva sheet, we'll talk about the magic, but I think one of the biggest things that is going to be quite life-changing, I think, for educators, is that it can become your all-in-one holding for everything. I think, when we're planning other things with Sheets, we can do that to the same scale, but in Canva, we can now use background remover at scale. So what I mean by at scale is you could have 100 photos of your students. Chris teaches, how many students did you say you have? 100?
Let's go at 105.
Okay, 105. I know at some point in time I had like 200 students in a semester. And so I could add all of their photos into one sheet, and I can quickly just select them, highlight them in the box, and boom, hit background remover, and every single student is no longer in a background.
That's pretty slick. And then from there, you could then pull any one of those images out and do something else with it.
In the sheet itself, you could add a design in the sheet itself, and you can now use bulk create at scale. So you could use bulk create before within a doc, but a lot of teachers have wanted, that ability to add images, and adding the images before, as nice as it was, could be quite tedious for someone, and that just really didn't save you time. So now you can add them all and then quickly bulk create certificates, or I don't know, report cards, whatever it is that you're using to be able to communicate with parents or stakeholders, all very, very quickly.
Now, the other piece of it that I thought was really slick, and this goes more down the road of AI, is the ability to, for example, I'm not a math major. I don't know the formulas, right? So now what can we as humans do with a Canva sheet? I don't know the formula for something, but I kind of know what I want to happen with the numbers. What can I do now?
You can now give a prompt to Magic right? Or to the Magic Canva AI. And you can say, hey, I would really love for you to, I'm not sure about what this formula is. Obviously, you're not going to put that in, but I want to create say you're creating your end of the year celebration. I don't know. So you have all the numbers in one place. You can say, I want to create the budget. I also want to I want to know the total for the tip included, and it can go ahead and do it for you just within a touch of a button.
Now, in the demo, they kind of, it got me thinking, that I could have grades in a Canva sheet and I could generate with the AI different visual representations, different types of graphs and charts, and just kind of drag and drop it or copy and paste it. And now I've got the data that's, there, and I can go tediously through the numbers, but I can also very easily add in graphs, charts, pie charts, here a chart, there a chart, everywhere a chart.
Yep. And we love data, don't we? You can also, at scale, also add comments. So like, you're going through and you're trying to, sometimes we just can't think of all the right comments to say. So you could have your students, you could have it do magic insights or, fill the chart for you. And you could say, I want it to be positive and I want it to be heartfelt and I want it to suggest the top 3 things that we did this year, blah, blah, blah. And it will just automatically fill the sheet for you. Obviously, with any AI, we always caution, always go back and double check because that's always an important component. You never want to do anything in its full entirety without checking everything. That's always a big caution to the wind. But I think what's really nice about that is it's just going to eliminate some of the things, off your plate. Something that Chris and I didn't talk about that I'll share now is you can also put in, I guess we did talk about it a bit, is data sets. So how many times are you hunting around trying to fill data sets for your students, for your math, your science class, even history, anything that you're trying to want to do, you can have it magic fill for you very, very quickly, a bunch of data for you. That population data, you could also have it pull the capital and it will pull it there for you. You can also do the flags with emojis and it will fill that for you as well. So I think some of those things just take a lot of time for you as educators to create. And I think this will help eliminate some of that.
Now, here's an important question. Obviously, these are some of the things that are coming to Canva for teachers. Is this powerful addition something that's also going to be available for students who I have using Canva at any level? I got high school kids, but for the middle school, or if we've got elementary school students, will they also be able to use this Canva Sheets piece?
Yes, they will be able to use the Canva Sheets. It is something we are changing some of our policies, I guess you would say, for AI. So I'll give Chris access to a copy of that as well. As long as the districts have turned on Magic right for students, they should have the capability to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And so that's part of that Magic Studio at scale, which we just mentioned. I just think the sheets are going to be really quite revolutionary because you can still add those design aspects that you couldn't do with a normal Google Sheet. I think a Google Sheet is great for a lot of purposes, but sometimes we're missing that Canva flair in a
Right.
a sheet.
Seldom have we ever looked at a Microsoft Excel or a Google Sheet, or I'm going to go way back to like Lotus 123 and said, wow, that is a beautiful spreadsheet.
Exactly.
And the only
So
thing in the
now-
past that made a spreadsheet beautiful was, alternating, colored row, white row, colored row, white row. So, or maybe a
which
gradient.
I thought I was really jazzing it up, then. So now you can add that Canva flair inside of your sheet.
In the demo that they showed, I mean, it looks like it's a spreadsheet on top of an image that was it's just, you can make something that is visually pleasing and also presents the information that you want to share through a sheet.
Exactly. And there's some really good capabilities. So I'll make sure that I throw that in here. Obviously we're recording right now as Canva is launching all of these. So, it makes it a bit tricky, but I will do some screen shares that I can also share with everyone as well. So on top of those pieces of Canva Sheets, I think we need to talk about the all-in-one visual suite.
Let's do it. So,
all right.
What is the all-in-one visual suite?
Such a good question. Thank you so much for asking that. So the all-in-one visual suite is basically a place for you. So when you're in a Canva design, you've been able to resize your design, right? Like you can take a page and you've been able to resize it to a video or maybe a presentation or something. But now you'll actually be able to do that all in one place. So when you are on a design, so for example, I'll just show this now. When we're on a design, and if you're not with us listening, you can just hear I'm opening a presentation, a blank one, actually.
It's a
And
beautiful blank
it's
presentation.
so pretty. It's probably my best work if you haven't seen that before. But over here, where you've normally been able to add a page, there is a little drop down. And so when you click on the drop down, it asks you the page type. So I can add a sheet. I can then also add a video, which has been kind of tricky to do before, but now I can add a, mobile video, TikTok video, whatever you want to add there. So I'll just add a mobile video. And what's happening is the page sizes are changing inside of my doc or inside of my design at once. I can also add a doc if I want. So a Canva doc can be added in here. I could also add a website. So basically everything that you need to do to create, let's say you're making a unit plan for history, I don't know, whatever unit you're planning, you can have all of your teaching materials in here. You could have your grading aspects in here. You could make a video in your teaching materials. So you can have everything that you need all in one. And then you can easily just share that with your students.
Yeah,
right there.
this is really slick. So we're looking at for you who's just listening, we're looking at a 5-page document. The first page is a typical slide. The second page is a sheet. The third page is vertical video. The fourth page it's a document. And the fifth page is a website. And this is all contained inside of, what do we call this type of file when you have all of these things?
That's a great question. That's why it's the all-in-one visual suite, but we call this just the design. And you could do that for any design type. So you could start with a video and then add a presentation or things like that. Most people start with presentations first, which I think is just intuitive to us in nature.
Yeah.
But you can do that. And something new, which I just said, I added a web page, which previously in Canva, you could only do a single one-page design. And now you can do multiple pages.
You know what that means?
My favorite, so a lot of times you're sharing newsletters or, you want to have your different editions. So maybe you're adding your pages there, or maybe you just want to have a landing page and you're tired of using the old fashioned Google sites, which have served their purpose for a long time, but maybe you want to make it,
I have no problem saying this, but Google Sites hasn't served a purpose since probably like 2018, 2017. I don't know. They haven't adapted.
No shame to Google Sites, but I did go to it the other day and I was like, man, this is the old version of Google Sites was much easier, I think, to use and had more functionality than new versions of Google Sites. But I think there's lots of capability there. So I think it's just nice that you can have that all in one.
And one of the first things that comes to mind as I'm looking at these pages, you could have students build portfolios using this, right? Bringing in all different types of assignments, whether it's a document that they've done or a video they've done. They can kind of catalog all different types of files in one of these. What are we using again? Canva Magic All-in-One?
Yeah, the all-in-one visual suite.
The marketing team needs to come up with a name for what you call this file.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it'll just be really nice to be able to have, all of that in there. Plus you can also, as always with everything, we have templates for you for everything. So you could have, I don't know.
These are okay. So I'm looking at, she's sharing her screen and it looks just like you are in any other type of thing you've done on Canva, except the main part of it, you're doing a spreadsheet and she is infinitely scrolling template after template and it's different colors and rows and what do you want to do? What do you want to fill in? This is just, it's visually pleasing. And if you hate spreadsheets, that's not an excuse anymore.
Yep, I agree. I think also, there's things like weekly schedules in here, which I think are helpful. I think sometimes
look at this. You got the class schedule, you got drop downs, so 12 o'clock is lunchtime on this spreadsheet, and we got pictures of nuggies and meatballs and grilled cheese. You're killing me with this.
Right.
I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, for sure. But I also think what's really nice is that you could have this, think how much easier this would be to take a spreadsheet like this and share it with a sub when you're out one day, or even just to collaboratively, because I think something that we are not talking about, or I think often is forgotten about with Canva, is that you can have 50 collaborators at a time on a design at any time. So I think what would be really nice, Chris, I don't know, is if you created this, maybe this is in a weekly schedule, maybe this is your unit plan, and you share it with your other social studies teachers across the district, and you're all able to collaboratively plan something. Split up the sections. Why does everyone have to do their own individual planning? I know we do that sometimes, but
Oh, if you're a middle school teacher or you're an elementary school teacher on a grade level team, I mean, what you can do with these sheets to really collaborate and communicate with your colleagues, it's a home run. And again, even what you just said about being able to share something with a sub, or let's say you put together a day's worth of activities and you're going to be out, and we do App Smash, right? If you're a Google district, you can create something here, share a link to your Google Classroom, your kids can see, drop a video of you, and it'll take them through the different parts of the day. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and you can add those like you don't have to go searching for photos. You can add the photos. You have the same aspects of everything that you've had inside of Canva, but now you can just level it up a little bit more, which I think is
a little bit more. This is a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it'll really be life-changing for a lot of teachers, doing project timelines. I don't know. This is all like more of like the corporate side of things, but I think these are still useful assessment rubrics. Like think about if you could have that inside of your design really quickly, or Magic has even created it based on your standards, and you have everything here and you're able to just quickly figure out what each of your students need and then quickly calculate it without having to think about 100 formulas or trying to Google what the formula means.
Absolutely. I mean, I do lots of projects in my classroom, and so I always give Canva as an option in some way, shape, or form to my high school students. And I always include a rubric, but that's something that I attach to the directions over in Google Classroom or Google Doc that's got the directions and the expectations. And sometimes I do work that is me giving the kids a template. I can drop this rubric right at the end of it. I can have them self-assess. I can go in and do the rubric grading. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep. Yeah, there's just lots of benefits, I think, as an educator with using the sheets, and also being able to like quickly add your other designs inside of it. So you could even have your unit, there is the lessons feature in Canva, which is really useful, but it could be that you're using an external LMS. So you want to have everything hosted as, your repository of overall unit planning. You could have everything also linked here for you, or the students could build their own, right? Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking for 20 minutes about spreadsheets.
Sheets.
What else is coming?
Such a great question. So the next thing that I think is really going to change people's life is, we talked about Sheets and the Magic Studio at scale. There is an updated assignment feature, which I think is really useful. Before it was just the one classwork tab, but now you can actually see the student progress and that sort of thing. For the interest of time, I'm just going to skip over the assignment hub. So if you're interested in that, we'll make sure that you have a resource to that. But it's pretty useful if you're not using an external LMS like Google Classroom or that sort of thing. You can just natively do that. But I think one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is this Canva code.
Canva code?
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Should I hit the button?
Yeah. Yes. So in Canva code, we will now have something called a Wonder Box. So before, you used to go to a design, you would say, create a 5-page presentation for my 5th grade students on liquids and solids, and it will create a presentation for you. So that's the Magic design. Now we have the Wonder Box. And so that's just leveling it up a bit more with being able to design a doc or that sort of thing. But the most important thing is this Canva code. And so the Canva code has a variety of things, but basically anything that you've wanted to create that maybe you've not been able to code before, because most of us are not computer scientists, you can do it here. So there's also some suggested things that you could do, like code a matching vocabulary game or create a simple countdown timer. So there was somebody the other day asking, how can I record my screen in Canva using a timer and showing that? You can't, because the timer is a presentation feature, something that when you're in present mode, you can do the timer, or when you're in edit mode. But when you're recording, it gets kind of tricky. So now you can create your own timer or a flashcard game or a vocabulary game. So you can have it here. This one says, this prompt tells us create an interactive vocabulary matching game where students connect terms with definitions. Start with an example math vocabulary, set 6 geometry terms with colorful design, hint system, and celebratory animations for correct matches. And then as a follow-up, ask me about subject area, subject terms, definitions to include with a theme, and hint feedback style. So you can do that and you just push the button, or you can also now chat to it using your voice, which is also extremely helpful for a lot of students when they're trying to find something or look for something. And then we just hit submit and it just starts coding for us.
This is really, really slick. So we're watching on her screen now. It's coding the HTML, which is then going to be viewable and shareable. Not the code itself, but the activity that she just described. And while you're watching it code, there's also a chat box to the left, and you could further prompt it and it will rewrite the code. And from what you shared with me earlier and what we saw today, it's then basically a web page that you can then share, you can kind of put out there, you can make it a part of those mega files, right? So,
yep.
Again, I am speechless.
Yeah. I think the Canva code, and that's why I think is really important to talk about, is just it's going to be really useful for you when you're trying to figure out what the heck do I want to be teaching or what can I be showing to my students that sometimes we just don't have. So why not create it? And this took just a couple minutes to create this and code it.
If that. So we see it's a geometry vocabulary match game, and you got 6 pairs, you've got terms, you've got definitions. You can reset the game. If you need a hint, it's going to help you. So here's an activity. You could use this as an exit ticket. You can use it as a do now. You can use it as a check for understanding in the middle of this geometry math lesson. It's amazing. And it looks good too, right? This is something that if you said, hey, go into, say, pick your AI tool, I'll say ChatGPT, right? I could go into ChatGPT and I could probably say something very similar, generate HTML for a geometry math game. But when I go to see what that code looks like when I run it, I've then got to go find some place to put that code. I've got to maybe then continue to prompt it and make it look good. This looks good right out of the box. And there's a button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen here in Canva now, use in a design. And it looks good, and now you can use it right away. So you're cutting out middlemen left and right. Exactly. Kudos to the team.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and something I think we're really excited about the possibilities for educators, because I think oftentimes, I don't know, I just think about when I'm in the classroom, just like you, like generate the HTML, then I got to figure out where is it going to go? How am I going to run it? How am I going to consistently keep this code up? What happens if it breaks? I have to go back and read it. Well, now I don't have to do that. I can just come over here and I can just be like, hey, can you tweak this to be whatever? Or I want to make it harder. I want to make it more intentional. Let me give you the words. You can be really specific with what it is that you're creating. I had a colleague, I was telling Chris, she was an art teacher, and she created an interactive Van Gogh experience. It literally felt like I was going to an interactive art exhibit where I could click on different parts within the photo or within the picture that was created. And I could really understand what the theme was, what the tone was, what you were wanting. So you can make this really immersive if you wanted to as well, without spending a ton of time doing it.
And I'm a teacher. I don't have a lot of time. They're not making any more of it, and it's always going by me.
Exactly. So I think that'll be, I don't know. I hope, I'm just excited about it. I hope that everyone is just as excited about it as we are.
And like with any AI, and I've talked about it on the show before, if you don't know how to use it, ask it for help. Or email Leena Marie. We'll have her email. she will field your calls. No, I only have her on speed dial. None of you can call her.
I mean, if you are really, really, really stuck with needing that, there's definitely some things. But our team will have some resources, available for you as well. But I think there's also prompt generators you can find. You could also come to, not that I'm like suggesting this, but you could also just, go to ChatGPT to practice some of your prompts too. Like, what does this prompt tell you? What is it? Have it break down that thinking for you as well.
Or there's
just
even,
ask
again,
it.
we saw earlier on one of the earlier things you showed here, there's a microphone button. Talk
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
If you can't figure out how to type it out, talk to it.
Exactly. And it will just learn with you. You're learning with it. It learns with you. And the more that you can feed it information, the better it becomes at knowing you.
Yes. And again, what you're showing me and what we're talking about and where we are right now here in April of 2025, this is the worst it's going to be. It's only going to get better.
Exactly. And we know that, right? With AI, I think everyone panicked when AI first came out and they're like, oh, well, whatever. And it's like, now you can't think of your life without it.
Well, even again, because you're kind enough to put this conversation together with us, think of what Canva was 5 years ago, right? Canva 5 years ago compared to what it's going to be now going forward. I'm glad we're here now. Canva 2020 sucked. No, relatively speaking. So, I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
So we got Sheets. We've got a lot of AI integration. We've got this coding and programming. Now, would this also fall, again, it might depend. Is this coding thing something that students could also have access to, or is that dependent on some of the other things that might be turned on? TBD?
I remember. Yeah, TBD.
Okay.
Can we just say TBD?
Sure.
I will make sure that Chris has information on which features are available and not available. Just forgive me. I'm not.
And I always ask those questions because I do work with older students, right? I use Canva at the high school level. Yeah. I adjunct at the university level. So I'm always recommending Canva to college kids too. So whatever can make anybody's life easier and help them create and communicate. And, even I'm sure the collaboration is improved within the platform. We got to put that in the hands of our learners at any age.
Exactly. And I am completely behind that, but I'll make sure that we have really specific which features and not features are available to you, because I think that's really important as an educator to understand that side for students too, because we want them to be empowered.
All right. So we talked about Sheets. We talked about the programming and the coding and more of the magic infusion. What else are we going to share?
Great. I'm really happy that you asked me that question. I think something that I, as a podcaster, and Chris himself as using the Canva platform is you can now record a voiceover. So in the past, you would be hacky, and I can say that, where you would remove yourself from the video. You would record it and just do audio, but it would still produce a video file. And then you could extract the audio if you wanted. But now you can actually record a true voiceover.
Very cool. Now we can't demo that because of how we're conducting this conversation. So you just kind of got to take our word for it. So you'll be able to put your voice in. We also saw today that there's going to be improved native text to speech, which I don't know about you, but if you've ever asked a child to record their voice into something in 2025, they look at you like you have 3 heads and how dare you ask them to speak out loud. Just recently, I had students using Canva for a project, and we use I guess there's some third-party apps that are integrated into Canva where I said, all right, write your script and let's use one of those. You can use AI to generate your voice. If you don't feel comfortable or confident to speak yourself, I want your words in there, even if it's not your actual voice. And now this is built in. So that's also very exciting.
Yep, exactly. And so it will be, I don't know why this, but yeah, it will be really nice to be able to have that voiceover feature available. And we said the AI version. So you can also take your words and you can copy those words. And then there is an app, or you will be able to hover over when you're in a different file, not in this design file here, but you will be able to just go to the apps and then you will see the AI voice. And in the AI voice, you can type it in that you can have discussions with.
It's right down there on the bottom left, more from Canva, AI voice. There you go.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. My laptop is blocking my screen. But there is Carol and Lisa and Ralph and Richard. But you can also, what's really great about this is sometimes we have our students that are not able to, and this is available for students as well. This is also going to be available for students, but in different languages. So if I spoke Spanish, and I know you have a Spanish podcast at your school, right,
Yes.
that your students do. So they could also take this and have it become speaking for them without ever using their voice.
Interesting. You didn't tell me that before. That's cool.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Here's
so let me ask, and again, I
Yeah.
could be wrong. I might be misunderstanding you. If I have words that I bring into this in English,
Yep.
will it translate them into Carol, Lisa, or Ralph, or Richard speaking Spanish?
Yep. So I can go ahead and I can type in Spanish. And
Oh, and
now
you
there
get
are
two different characters, Alejandra and
speakers.
Sophia.
Okay.
That's really
So
cool.
it is not translating this into Spanish. And then thanks for having me test this out. It's not translating this into Spanish, but what you can do is you can just use Magic Write, and then you can do generate voice here, but you could just translate this itself. So you could translate the text first and then have it use these voices. But these are, they are speaking in English, but with a Spanish
accent.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
But if you gave it Spanish words, then they would sound more Spanish.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah. So you just need to highlight your text and then click the little magic pencil or go into the apps, and then you can generate your AI voice.
That's really, really cool. Man, love me some Canva. So glad it's free for teachers, because I know, again, Canva they are expanding, and, I see commercials on TV for Canva, and, I've never actually looked to see how much Canva costs for the average person, or if like a mom and pop business wanted to have Canva and get access to the tools. I have no idea how much that costs. So thank you for making it free for teachers.
Yeah. It's part of our 2-step plan. I think we talked about this before, but Mel and Cliff were actually teachers, and it's just part of their education thing. So step 1 of our plan is to basically build the biggest company we can. And then step 2 is to do the most good we can. And part of the do the most good we can is part of the Canva for Education. Canva for Education fits into that. And so that our step 1 fuels the ability for us to do step 2.
Love it.
Yeah, I love these sound effects. I really need to get one of these, Chris. And yeah, so recording a voiceover and then quiz generator, which I think this is something that has been available for a bit. But basically what happens is if you are on you're on a social studies template, let's say. So just in Canva itself, and you're on a social studies template, or you've created your own text inside of it. You can just hover over the text itself. And when you do that, and there's also new filtering, if you haven't noticed, the new education.
Yes,
here,
very slick.
Yeah. And the education. And so let's just say we're in a math one, and we're inside of our lesson here. We can just select over the text, which I didn't have this open before, but you can select the text and you can have it generate a quiz for you based on the text. I feel like, but anyway, if you're inside of one of these and you have all of your text on the page, you can have it generate a quiz for you.
Nice. Very cool. All right. So I think the last thing that we're going to wind up talking about is, and I forget the name that they used today, but was it scrollables? Is that the term?
That's such a good one. It is scrollies.
Scrollies. Okay.
Yep. So when you are,
it sounds like something out of the Avengers. We got to fight the scrollies,
doesn't it? It does. So when you're in a doc, sometimes docs can just be quite boring, right? You have the ability.
You don't say.
Yeah. Right. So now when you're inside of a doc design, you can click on the plus sign and you can go to scrollable design. And so you can add a previous presentation that you've created, or you can just add a scrollable. And so I can just come here and I can say education in the keywords, see what kind of comes up. And I don't know. You can also have different presentations. So you could take like an animated presentation, and that was not a good because it didn't have enough pages. But once you add it into it, what it basically turns your design to is to an animation. So if you had a digestive system, or maybe even you were going through time, you can have the students scroll and it will produce an animation inside of the design itself, which is quite cool.
Well, the digestive one is a great example because if you're looking at the design publicly, say through a public link, which again, those are my favorite links on Canva. When you are literally scrolling in your browser window, it looks like animation and it is making things happen. So whether it's digestion or a process, or the thing that I thought of initially was in history, some type of animated timeline. So it really brings it's a different style of presenting slides.
Exactly. And it just makes it, I don't know, I think if I were a student, I'd much rather interact with that than I would rather interact with a regular doc, right? Like something that's like, not what you would normally connect with, right?
Right.
Okay, so an example, and I'm just showing Chris something that I built. I just added a header, a lesson objective, and then I just took a presentation from our template library, and it's the digestive system. And so we're just moving through the digestive system, through the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the pancreas. And as it's going, it's creating animations, and the visual is moving to the part of the system of which we're recognizing. But I think there's a lot of capabilities that you can have. And, oftentimes a lot of teachers, and I'm sure you do this as well, where you put everything in a Google Doc. All of the assignment for the day is built inside of this Google Doc. So you could have that. You can add a whiteboard inside of it, and you can just share this with your students, and they have the ability to have everything that they need all in their fingertips, but interactively. So in the interest of me, I forgot to share. I stopped the recording instead of stop sharing my screen. So that's a fun thing. So anyway, Scrollables is an interactive place where you just add a presentation or you add a diagram into it. And as students are scrolling, the parts are moving. So it could also be a how-to, it could be anything. But as we're moving through this track, we're seeing the digestive system and we're seeing all the things that it go. Chris was saying that he would do an interactive timeline. There's lots of abilities to just create this as more an interactive ability for you. And I just think it's a really cool aspect to keep students engaged while you're learning.
And based on some stuff I've done this year, I can see my students using this to do what would probably look like stop motion animation.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've seen my kids do that just with a regular presentation, and then you're just advancing the slides and things are moving around. They're using the built-in effects, but this is just another way to try and present it and make it accessible. I like it.
So we talked about most of the things. And then we already talked about Magic Insights, which is being able to take a component of your data and then ask it to summarize it or create the biggest talking points. And you can do a text or you can do a chart. And you could just add that, copy and paste the text or copy and paste the chart easily to your design, which is something that you can't typically. It's just much harder to create a chart in Google Sheets than this, where it's also those interactive charts, which are, which Canva's known for, obviously. But I think that just is helpful to be able to do that in your sheet.
Now, the other piece, and I don't know if you want to show it, but I definitely want to talk about the fact that in a presentation, this idea of I've designed my slides and I need speaker notes. That was also very slick.
Yep. So let's just say we have this slide that we're sharing with our teachers. We can come over here and we can rewrite these. There's already notes here. So I'm going to rewrite these notes. So I'm just going to click on rewrite. And what will happen is Magic Write is then creating the speaker notes for you here. You can also take something, you can make it more formal.
I want to pretend to present.
Yeah, exactly. So it's creating this here. So empowered by artificial intelligence, Magic Insight reveals patterns, trends, and essential takeaways, converting data into clear and compelling visuals and summaries.
That's right, Leena Marie, because this tool is particularly beneficial for educators seeking to effortlessly identify students requiring additional support through a straightforward prompt.
Exactly. So you have your notes here. It's much more useful when you're on a different kind of design, being able to do your speaker notes. But it's been quite helpful for us as we've been preparing for Canva Create and making sure we have our presentations. It's been nice to kind of have starter notes. Sometimes your brain is just dead.
This is very cool. You haven't shown me a not cool thing yet. So
yeah. So just
There you
some
go.
useful things that I think all of these things will be really helpful for educators. I'm hoping, and you're an educator, so you can tell me. But I think being able to just have things that just make your life a little bit easier is going to be really helpful. Some things also that we didn't talk about that I think are going to be important are things that teachers have been asking for. We call it our community wish list, and that's things like subscript and superscript. Teachers love that and have been wanting, especially for math. It's really difficult. Yeah.
It's all those science and math teachers.
Exactly. Some of these features, which we will be launching right now to you, which is the assignments, the quiz generator, recording a voiceover, AI voice, the superscripts, your text highlighting, which you can now do in Docs, which is something who has been wanting to do that with Elements? Nobody. So now you have that feature. You can also do banners on all pages, volume balance, which I think is great, but I think the caption animations is also useful for educators and students. So all of those things will be live. The big things like Canva Sheets, the Canva AI, the Canva Code, the all-in-one visual suite where you can do multiple pages, Magic Studio at scale, the scrollytelling, which I just showed you, or scrollables. Those will all be available on May 20th. So some of the features will be available in April 10th, but all of the features that have been mentioned at Canva Create will be live by May 20th.
You know what? That's good, because something that has frustrated me for years, and I think I've even expressed it to you, and I know I've talked about it on the show, but I'm going to remind the listener that Canva gets it, right? You're doing this event April 10th, right? It's here, it's now, and the features, some are here today and will start to impact your teaching, and some are going to be coming in just a few weeks. If this was, and I don't like to throw shade at Google, but I'm going to throw shade at Google because I'm affiliated with nobody. If this was a Google event, they would do the event now and they would say, they're coming. And then they would drop these features in like November. Shout out to Canva for doing it now, because I could play with it at the end of the year. I can play with some of these tools over the summer. I can start to plan, and I can hit the ground running. Again, as a New Jersey educator, I'll be able to hit the ground running in September. For the other places in this country that get out of school in May, and they might be out of school before the features drop, they'll get to play with those features before they go back to school in August. Thank you, Canva.
I'll just say this. We have some really great things coming for back to school. I can't mention them, but we do have some really great things that are going to change some of the ways that you interact with students then, but I can't mention, I'm just peppering that in, that there are going to be some launches.
Okay.
Ooh, I don't know.
All you had to do was say, hey, Chris, I'd love to come back on the show in August or the end of July.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would have said yes.
So I can't say anything, but I do think we'll have some really great things for back to school that I think will really help all of our educators.
Excellent. All right. So Leena Marie will be back this August with more information about Canva and back to school. Was there anything else that you wanted to share or anything else we wanted to bring up?
No, I don't think so. And like I said, I will share the information with Chris on what will be available and what won't be available for educators, and not educators, but for students. I think that's an important component. And we would love to hear your feedback. We at Canva, me specifically, love to hear what you're doing and how you're sharing. So make sure that you tag Canva EDU on all the things that you're doing and creating, because we listen. We have the community wish list, superscript, subscript, those types of things are things that we're listening to and making sure that we have things that make you feel empowered in the work that you do every day.
This has been a bonus episode of the House of EdTech and an awesome video and screen share for your YouTube channel, the EdTech Guru. If you're listening to this on the podcast piece of it, you can go into the show notes and there will be Leena Marie's contact information. Make sure you're connected with her. She's an awesome person as a person, professionally. She's available to people to be awesome. And I'll plug myself for your video. Please.
Great.
If you're not listening to the House of EdTech podcast, come over to my website, chrisnesi.com, where you can subscribe to the House of EdTech And it's anytime, anywhere professional development, much similar to what Leena Marie does, except I have a face for radio and she looks good on YouTube.
Okay. Well, Chris took the words out of my mouth. So really great to connect with all of you. And we're really excited to share these new features with all of you. And we will see you next time, everybody. Bye.
See ya. Thank you again to Leena Marie for taking time on what is a very busy day in California as Canva Create 2025 is wrapping up. I can't thank her enough. Make sure you get connected with her. If you're not already using Canva in your classroom, now's the time to get in there. And I'm pretty sure if you're listening to the House of EdTech, you are already leveraging Canva in some way. I can't wait for these features and updates to become available. My mind was blown, and I imagine your mind was blown as well. So here's what I want you to do. Reach out to me. feedback@chrisnesi.com or send me a message on Blue Sky. I'm at Mr. Nesi. You can use the hashtag House of EdTech or just send me a message. Let me know what you think and what you're excited about with all of these great tools and features that are coming to Canva to make it even more awesome. Everything that we talked about today, there's what I think is a comprehensive article. You can go out to chrisnesi.com/261. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you spread this around so people know what's coming. All right. Thanks for listening. Time to really wrap up the episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the House of EdTech. If you haven't already, please subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you're listening right now so you can continue to make it a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. Links and resources for this episode can be found on my website, chrisnesi.com/261. I also want to hear from you. Leena Marie and I had a great conversation, and I want to know your feedback and your perspective on everything for Canva Create and everything that's coming. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have thoughts or questions about today's episode or any other EdTech-related topic. You can always email me, feedback@chrisnesi.com, and you're also welcome to leave a voicemail at chrisnesi.com/voicemail. I can't wait to connect with you. And I also want to encourage you again to share this podcast with another educator who would get value. Spread the word, because that will help me reach as many educators as possible. Thank you so much in advance. And lastly, I invite you to become an awesome supporter if you're getting value from my content. I'm incredibly grateful for the ongoing support from the following people: Leo Calbush, Brian Carpenter, Aaron Cummings, Jeff Herb, and Matt Miller. I want to take a second to thank Peggy George, who has supported the House of EdTech for over 200 episodes. And I certainly understand when people's situations change. While she's no longer an awesome supporter, Peggy George will always be an awesome person and an awesome educator in this world. Thank you so much, Peggy. Now, if you want to replace Peggy, you can become an awesome supporter by visiting, you know what, I shouldn't say replace Peggy. There's no replacing Peggy. But if you'd like to be my next awesome supporter, go to chrisnesi.com/awesome. The link is in the show notes where you're listening to this right now. The next episode of the podcast is episode number 262. That is going to be your 2025 House of EdTech Final Four, which was going to be this episode. But when you have the opportunity to talk about something that's happening right now, you do it. So the EdTech Final Four will come your way on Sunday, April 27th, 2025. And if you're like, wait a second, April 27th sounds like a special day. It is. The next episode comes out on my birthday, where I will be 44 years young. Thank you for listening. And until next time, thank you for learning with me. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.